Hello and welcome to Armonia Seminary. My name is Lethea Thompson. Many of you may know me from Force Realist TV, which was hosted on Knights of Awakening. For those of you that have not heard, I am retiring Force Realist and moving my Jedi vlog to Armonia. I'll still be with Knights of Awakening, but my focus there will be on another project called Let's Regroup Building Stronger Citizens. Now, you're probably wondering, what's Armonia Seminary? It's a Jedi school that aims to train people in Jedi studies. And when it goes full launch, we will have a path that teaches the Jedi Mystic program, which will help create capable ministers of Jediism under a tradition created by myself and Gabriel Calderon with Jedi Federation and Chicago Jedi. And this kind of brings me to the subject of this video. I didn't intend for my first video here to be on something very disheartening. But over the last week, members of the Jedi community have learned something that was a rather terrible truth. One of our own was taken from us in a very violent manner. Now, it's taken me some time to process what happened to him. Not because I knew him personally, but because of how violent the crime was. And it reminded me of what set me on the path to build a seminary so many years ago. Now, at the time, I didn't think I would actually be building a seminary, but it eventually got to that point. And with the support of Force Academy and Jedi Federation, we have now made this dream happen. I'm not the principal of the school, for anyone that's curious. That title belongs to my friend Keith Williams, who happens to be trained in psychology and practices it actively. Most of you that know who I am, you know that I've managed to get an account on almost every Jedi board that's out there. I've even worked with Russian Jedi orders in the past, relying heavily on Google Translate to help me communicate with them. One of the groups I managed to find myself on was a web board at jedichurch.org. Now, this was before it became a success on Facebook. At the time I found it, no one was there to answer questions about the Jedi Path. The board was a series of people asking questions about what the Jedi Path was and people coming in to troll the ghost board. I kind of took it upon myself to direct people to orders which had more activity and trained personnel to guide them. But there was one question that kept coming up and I couldn't give an answer to. Something that went to the effect of, my loved one died and really liked Star Wars. How would I conduct a Jedi funeral? For a long time, I didn't have an answer. I tried looking at places like Temple of the Jedi Order and Jedi Sanctuary, which were two churches, at least at that time. Temple of the Jedi Order still holds this status, filed with the government for religious nonprofit status. Unfortunately, there was nothing really written up for such. They had a series of things that you could read during a eulogy. Now they're with the Force, and we all celebrate their life, stuff like that. I was kind of lost. I wanted to give these people an answer to their question because grief is hard to process. And I've seen that happen quite often, especially with the loss of someone that you will never see again. It was because of these questions that I started trying to create a Jedi funeral. The first one I used, it was terrible. It was basically a series of if this, then that, and written in such a way that anyone could follow the basics of the program. I actually looked up what a funeral procession looks like, and I would write things in here, or I would do I did a last rites thing with a purification ritual for the whole body, and yeah, it was terrible. And it never really felt Jedi. For a while, I kept searching for something that fit the community's teachings. I worked on this project for a couple of different groups until I went to a Jedi gathering in 2012 and met Gabriel Calderon. Now, during our second gathering, a regional in Chicago, I unveiled an idea to Gabe for a ceremony to test if someone was ready for Jedi review boards. It was a labyrinth. Now, admittedly, the labyrinth was not my idea alone. In fact, I kind of stole it, with permission, so I guess it wasn't really stealing, from someone else who had performed this labyrinth in a similar fashion and was ordained as a Gardnerian Wicca from the Sacred Well congregation. Since then, Gabriel and I have actually found that the labyrinth is diverse enough to become the base for our Jedi tradition. Why a labyrinth, you ask? The Jedi Path is one of reflection and action. We are better able to live in the moment when we know what has happened in our past and can move forward from it. The labyrinth has a pathway in to reflect on our past, and the center to deal with figuring out exactly what lessons are available from your path in. And then a pathway out, which helps you reflect on how to incorporate those lessons from your past. The walk itself gives you an opportunity to notice things about your experiences. Did you hesitate to move forward? What was the thought that caused you to hesitate? Why would you even hesitate? Did you try moving faster through something you remembered? Was it because it made you feel elated? See, walking a labyrinth makes the whole body respond, and you're able to watch yourself push forward through things in a physical way. When it came to the funeral, the labyrinth was able to help build a personal living eulogy of the loved one that has passed away. We noticed, or at least I noticed, that during a funeral processional, you hear eulogies, and those are built up by whoever happens to be up there standing and talking. Now, you get an opportunity to reminisce with people around you, but maybe there's things that you didn't really want to say in the moment about that person, because all you wanted to do was just keep a certain memory alive. In the labyrinth, you have this opportunity to cry and laugh and get angry on the path in and at the center. Now, in our version of the labyrinth, you are supposed to be accompanied by someone. We prefer a mystic who has been trained to at least a level of psychological first aid, so that you don't have to walk alone. Maybe you need to talk to somebody. You can think it in your head, or they can be there and you can turn to that person. You can say, during this point in my life, this loved one was here. Or, I never really processed how much this loved one had hurt me in this way. And you can just vent. And then, when you get to the center, you think about it, and you're able to finally walk back out to the entrance of the labyrinth. And at that point, we give you an opportunity to say your final farewell to your loved one who has passed, giving them back to the Force, or, if you prefer, a deity. It is appropriately called the Labyrinth of Release. And it's not just something that you can use for funerals. We've even seen that it could be used as the end of a 12-step program, for example, or the end of a really bad breakup. Gabriel and I are working on putting the labyrinths we built, not just the Labyrinth of the Release, into a small book so that people will have the ability to use these on their own, in their own practice. One for a wedding. Yeah, we managed to figure out how to put a labyrinth into a wedding. And if you happen to attend the 2018 Jedi Gathering, you will even have an opportunity to watch that in action. One for trials, a funeral, and even one that we are planning right now for the birth of a child. In the meantime, if you are in need of the Labyrinth of Release, you can write me at harmoniaseminary@gmail.com, and I can send you a copy. Little interesting fact. Have you noticed the logo for ammonia yet? Look closely. It's a branch growing from the inside out in the shape of a labyrinth. It's meant to symbolize the growth one undergoes when they meditate on their journey. So now you know. That's where our inspiration for our stylized O came from. Thank you for joining me, and may the Force light your path.